Hello, everyone. This is a video for, in particular, my English 9 class, not the Honors 9 class. I just wanted to record a quick video to give you, as you know, on Tuesday, LBQ 3 that we've been working on over the past week is going to be due. It's our Romeo and Juliet adaptation video, or essay, not video. This is a video. You're writing an essay. There we go. So this is our Romeo and Juliet adaptation essay. Remember, we've been writing about one version of one scene in one of the movies that we've watched, right? And we're focusing on two of our critical film terms, right? So, you know, whatever those two are: cinematography, editing, lighting, and soundtrack, screenplay, whatever, right? And what I wanted to do real quick before you turn things in is I just want to go over some things and talk about my plan for you. So I want you to turn this in just as we normally would. I know that we didn't get a chance to get a one-on-one conference about this. I would encourage you on Monday, this Monday, tomorrow, or Tuesday series theoretically, but Monday especially, if you want to get on the Twitch stream of my open office hours and just sort of like hit me with some questions about, in particular, your essay, I'd be happy to answer them. Today, I'm just going to go over some sort of like common things that I'd like to see in the essay, and I've got these 2 pages of your LBQ packet pulled up real quick. This is our checkbox pages, right, where we talk about here's what we need to do in each paragraph, and I just want to go over what my expectations are for each paragraph of this for you, and then we'll go from there. All right, so every essay we've talked about in the past starts with an introduction. So you can see we have sentences 1 through 4 of our introduction. Our introduction should not start with our thesis, right? If we look back, if we scroll up a little, you can see you will have written a thesis statement up here already, but we shouldn't be starting with our thesis, right? We want to start by introducing a general statement to make the audience aware of the subject of our paper, right? So something like Romeo and Juliet is a play written by William Shakespeare about 2 young people who fall in love and the problems that are caused by their love. Whatever, just something like that, right? And you can see that when I've said Romeo and Juliet, the title here, I've italicized it, right? So this is just a brief reminder that like when we're using the title of a text, we always italicize long text. Now, in particular, this is going to be a problem for you because if you're not italicizing the name Romeo and Juliet, I won't know if you're talking about the play or you're talking about the 2 characters. So please make sure when you're using the title, you italicize it, right? You can just select it and click the italics button, or you can select it and hit Command-I or Control-I if you're on Mac. After our first sentence, we'll have 2 to 3 sentences of background information, right? So we might introduce our film terms, might introduce like a moment in the story. We need to probably introduce the adaptation we're going to use here, right? So we should say something like, this movie has been turned into a play, or this play has been turned into a movie many times. One of the most famous versions of this play is Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet, or Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, right? Then we introduce our terms, right? 2 important film terms that can be applied to this movie are soundtrack and editing, right? The soundtrack is how the music in the movie, and the editing is how the shots are cut together in a movie. Then we hit our thesis statement. So if we've constructed our thesis statement correctly, we roll directly out of our background information. We slap down our thesis statement, as we said before. So then we get into our body paragraphs. Now, again, we've talked about this in the past, right? But like our evidence on this paper is not going to be like the evidence that we've used. We do need to provide evidence, but because of the nature of what we're talking about here, it's not possible for us to provide direct quotations because this isn't written text, right? We still want to introduce our evidence, right? By using something like, in the balcony scene, the acting is whatever, right? So let us know what we're talking about, where we are, and the topic that we're going to be talking about. And then we just say, how is this term used, right? The acting in the balcony scene of Zeffirelli's version is overwrought. The acting is bad, right? And then we want to explain that in more detail, right? So if I said that the acting in the Zeffirelli balcony scene is bad, I would want to be more specific, right? You could say that the 2 actors don't seem to be very in love. They don't have a lot of chemistry. They're a little bit too too expressive in their faces. They're a little too loud. They're bad at kissing, whatever. Just bring up the specific ways that your term is used. And then for your analysis, tell me how that term that you just talked about makes the film work, or the scene work, more or less, right? Remember, the question is not, is this scene bad or good? It's, is this scene more or less effective? And so when we say effective, what we mean is, does this scene work, right? So if we were talking about the acting in the balcony version of the Luhrmann, we might say the acting makes it more effective because it's believable, because the actors have such good chemistry, it's believable that these 2 people are in love. Okay, so why does that make it more effective? Well, because when we believe that two people in a romantic movie are in love, we get drawn in, and then the emotion of the end of the film when they kill themselves is heightened, right? So we want to go sort of two full steps of like, here's how this impacts here's why it's better, and here's why this thing makes it better, right? So like, we get drawn in, and that makes it better because when you're more into a movie, it makes you care about the movie more, which makes the end of the movie have more of an impact. Whatever. Just keep in mind that even though you're not giving actual quotes, you want to give evidence and analysis in every paragraph. Now, in this outline that I have in front of me, I do have two separate examples of evidence in each body paragraph. I would say you could do it either way. You could either have one example of evidence and then just 3 or 4 sentences of analysis, or you could have two smaller examples. Like if you were talking about lighting, right, you might talk about how the lighting is silver in a scene and how that makes the scene better. And then you might talk about how the lighting is sort of shimmery, like from the pool in Romeo and Juliet's balcony scene, or Romeo plus Juliet balcony scene. And you want to talk about, you could talk about both of those things separately, or you could kind of put it all together and just give me 3 or 4 sentences of analysis. Either way, I still expect 3 to 4 sentences of analysis total in every body paragraph. Now for our conclusion. So this is kind of this is the thing that always messes people up, right? We want to start with a theme. What is a theme of Romeo and Juliet? Well, almost certainly when we say that we're going to start about theme, we need to start with the subject. So in one word, what is the subject of this play? I would say that subject is probably love, right? That's the easiest one to do. I could see family, I could see violence, but I think love's the easiest one. So what is Shakespeare saying about the way love works, right? So that's our theme. So Romeo and Juliet reveals that love can make people do foolish things, or love can blind people to the consequences of their actions, or you could say love conquers all. I mean, they end up dead, but they do end up together, right? We give our theme statement. We don't just say a theme in this story is. We say this story reveals, right? This movie reveals, this movie shows, whatever, right? And then we want to say, what is the impact that people can learn from this? So people can learn from this that, it's not always a good thing to run into love on the first day that you meet. Okay, so how can they change things in their lives to reflect that? Well, they can think more about the relationships that they have and the way those relationships affect and impact the things that, the other people in their lives, right? And then we kind of finish up with, why does this matter? So what is the impact of this on our actual life? Well, it matters because people fall in love all the time. And sometimes when they fall in love, their families don't like each other. And so you want to just emphasize the idea that like, this is a theme that still impacts our current life, right? And we always talk about impact in this class. Like, why does this impact us as humans? Like, we don't know anything about Verona. There's not fighting in the streets. People don't duel with swords anymore. So why are we still reading this text from 400 years ago? It's not just because I'm telling you to read it. Everybody reads it. I mean, that is part of it because I'm a mean person, but there's more to it than that, right? And you want to get into, for your audience, like, why does this text still matter? Why does this theme that you've come up with still matter? All right. If you have any other questions, please email me or come to my office hours tomorrow. Well, I'm posting this on Sunday, so Monday or Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I will post the link in Google Classroom, and I look forward to seeing you there.